Hey everyone! As some of you might know, I recently created a new YouTube channel called Dino Tales, where I will focus all the upcoming dinosaur cinematics. You can find the link to the Dino Tales channel in the description down below. So if you like my dinosaur content and would definitely want to see more, please head on over there and subscribe to my dinosaur channel. I hope by doing this to cater my videos more to those only interested in the dinosaur videos and give you the content that you want to see. Currently I'm uploading the current season episodes on there, but will start the newest season there very soon. Also, since I already started this season on the Kanoa channel, I will still finish it in its entirety on here as well. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the episode. The prehistoric park just welcomed one of its all-star attractions in the form of the T-Rex couple, and the two would enjoy that fame and attention for a long time to come. Whatever dinosaur was chosen next to be added to the park would not receive that same attention span around the globe, but therefore, the park was able to experiment a little bit and add the tiny critter, the Troodon. There was still a very efficient way to add these by reserving a triangular-shaped pen near the Giganotosaurus zone, and around a dozen of the Troodon were being moved to the park's holding cell. It was another questionable moving process, where the dinosaurs themselves were not that big nor heavy. But the helicopter moving protocol had become the norm, so they just went with it, as they always did. The biggest question still was if the audience would really get to experience this attraction. There were a few aspects that worked against this. First, the Troodon were tiny. They were bigger than a compy, but smaller than a raptor. They could easily get lost in the tall grass, which is why so many were imported to the park itself. But the Troodon were known to be most active during night, and it could be one of those animal encounters where during the day, the audience would not even get a single glimpse of the Troodon. Luckily though, the docile nature, possibly the result of behavior inhibitors inserted by the scientists, ended up with the Troodon behaving like all the regular attractions and were as active during daytime. The disappearing in the grass was indeed still an issue. Some of the Troodon were even a bit camouflaged within all this green, and even though the pen was smaller compared to other areas, it was still more than enough to hide the 10 inhabitants easily. Still, the overall operation was deemed a success, and the park's money spenders hoped that even though these dinosaurs would not get the same attention as the T-Rex, they still would earn their place amongst the greats. As the weeks went by, the discussion that followed were of course what dinosaur to add next. Currently, there were 67 species known on the island and fabricated. The park at this moment had little over 30 different species, and so they were only halfway there if the plan was indeed to add all the different available types. And the discussion actually got kinda heated, as no one could really determine what dinosaur would be the best fit as the next one. There were many who still wanted to reserve the few all-star attractions for later, since they did not want to play all their cards too soon. But the biggest money holders were very impressed by the popularity of the T-Rex, and fate would have it, they still had one predator available that was even bigger than the T-Rex. This was of course, the Giganotosaurus. Now despite this carnivore being bigger, it did not enjoy the same fame, yet it also was considered such an important asset due to its sheer size. So in the end, it was indeed agreed upon that the next dinosaur would already be the Giganotosaurus, in the hope that the hype surrounding the T-Rex would play into the popularity of the Giganotosaurus. It was of course in this case also important to choose a proper look for the dinosaur. Though there were not as many options this time around as with the T-Rex, it did not take long to find the correct one. Most of the customized and newly created looks for the dinosaurs were based on other properties in the form of movies or shows, but only a few had a video game as their base. The dinosaur survival simulator game, The Isle, has some amazing models available, and the scientists were ordered to create the Giganotosaurus based on that look. The end result was magnificent. Compared to the regular Giganotosaurus in the safari park, it looked so much more menacing and awe-inspiring. Its colors were a lot less vibrant and varied, but to counter that, its patterns were much more interesting and detailed. Its bright yellow eyes really showcased that it was aware of its surroundings despite towering over everyone and everything. Even though the order was given earlier to keep the larger predator in groups of 2, the scientists still got the task to create 3 and increase their docile behavior to adjust for this. Having not 1, not 2, but 3 of the largest carnivores in the park would of course be one heck of a testament, and the money spenders were very happy with the result. The addition of these dinosaurs indeed helped with keeping that hype going that started with the T-Rex. Its colors were again not that amazing, as the toy-inspired T-Rex, which in its own right took the dinosaur from the book as its blueprint. The 3 Giganotosaurus also got along very well, meaning that all that artificial tinkering really showed its money's worth. The zone that was reserved for the Giganotosaurus was massive, and they really enjoyed their new home. With their behavior being dumbed down to being so docile, the fencing also was not that big of an issue. In a sense, it would not take too much effort for them to stick their neck over it, but they never were seen even trying or thinking about it. This was their new existence, and they loved it. And so the park enjoyed its sweeping success and attention just a bit more, while plans were already in the making for the upcoming roadmap. As said before, there were still around 35 dinosaurs they could choose from, and still a lot of open land available. But for now, they wanted to take a step back again and add some new additions to the enormous Edmontosaurus pen. These herbivores really got along with other species like the parasaurs, but for this one, they wanted to add a species that was not added to the park yet. The end result was that the next addition to that pen would be the Coritosaurus. The Coritosaurus was maybe by some considered as a more boring dinosaur. It did not have large claws, long teeth, or a significant way of protecting itself. When danger was lurking, it often chose to run over facing its hunter. It really benefited from grazing in large herds, intermixing in the middle of it, and get lost within the herd itself when danger was on approach. Their color scheme and patterns were also not that special. They looked very bleak compared to the colorful bunch of the Edmontosaurus. But that contrast was just what they needed to thrive here. The Edmontosaurus demanded a lot of attention due to their unique look, but all the same, it gave the audience time to also observe the fellow Coritosaurus in that very same pen. Because they were so docile, the sedation procedure was not deemed very dangerous, even with the potential of being trampled. One of the ranger drivers, Ranger Earl, did have a bit of trouble handling the wheel, unfortunately. he apparently did not get the memo of not driving into any of the animals. Turned out he replaced his cousin Ranger Dave, who was on sick leave that day. Ranger Earl was, after that incident, not seen in the park no more.